Hello, and welcome everyone to N1P podcast, which is the umbrella where we will have a lot of other types of Pan African, or even global knowledge about different things, different topics. Hence the reason why I have a structure of different topics that we will discuss under the umbrella of N1P podcast, which is a Pan African podcast. Today, we're having open baskets, and we're having open baskets every Friday. But today is a recap. So every Saturday, some Saturdays, it can be every Saturday, or every second Saturday, where we are doing a little bit of a recap, where we are going to discuss certain things that we did not mention and forgot to mention from the previous lecture. Today, we will have a little bit of a discussion about new topics that are concerning the diaspora and Africans everywhere and abroad. So, as we know, we've had many discussions talking about different aspects of Pan Africanism, and we have come to an understanding of what we see as Pan African, or being a Pan African. Yes, let me just say hi and good afternoon, good evening. Today, Donatori.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to N1P podcast, Open Basket session 10. This is a recap. I will just go through certain other things before we jump into our Pan African interview, which we're going to have today with Laura Natori. Am I saying it correctly, or am I destroying the name that you have?
Yes, you're saying it correctly.
What?
Lonatori.
Lolitori. Okay, good, perfect.
Lonatori.
Perfect. So let me just go and do this first before we jump into the interview. I will shout on you and tell you whenever we will have the interview, and we can start. Let me just go over to some of the topics that I've had. This topic today is going to be a recap, speaking about things that we missed on speaking last session on Open Basket. Today we will discuss some of the inventions coming out of Africa. Last time we spoke about the pods that was made by a young Nigerian inventor, and what he did for his people, and not only for him but for Africa. I think it's a milestone for Africa. And now today we will discuss an invention made by Hafiz Al Hassan Kanu. He's a tech genius behind the new SUP Africa app. So, as we all know, we know a lot of things about WhatsApp, and we know that there's a lot of people of African descent that use WhatsApp. WhatsApp Messenger, or simply WhatsApp, is an international available American freeware, cross-platform, centralized instant messages and messaging and voice over IP service owned by Meta platform. So this is owned by Meta. Meta, as we know, is a new slogan for Facebook. So Mark Zuckerberg has just changed the name from Facebook to Meta, and now we also have Meta as the umbrella for WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and all of these other types of softwares that we are using. Today, we are speaking about a Pan-African app, which is called Subfrica, which is revolutionary in a way. This Sierra Leonean man creates a new messaging app that he claims is faster than WhatsApp itself. A man from Sierra Leone has created a messaging app that is believed to work faster than WhatsApp. Hafiz Al-Hassan Kanu, a tech company owner based in the US, named his new app Subfrica to reflect its African origin. The app has similar functionalities and features to the popular messaging app giant owned by Facebook and Meta. The tech company Subfrica, which is owned by the creator himself, released the app on Google Play Store in December last year. The app itself, which was initially just a test prototype before it took off, boasts improved features such as cheaper, faster, and more audible video and voice call, alongside being able to forward messages to more than 20 contacts at once. The app began to reach when it was marked in the Facebook post before going viral on social media platforms. This was also stepped up because earlier in the year only a few people had downloaded it. Today, Subfrica has been downloaded more than 19,000 times on the Google Play Store, making it the fastest app made by a Sierra Leonean to be downloaded so many times. It also may just be the most talked about app in Africa and Sierra Leone. Though the app is currently rated 2.8 on Google Play Store, it is believed to have been rated number 1 on Google Play Store's top free apps for some time, beating more established services like WhatsApp, Messenger, Facebook, Meta, Telegram, and WeChat. Speaking to Pan-African Daily TV, Kanu himself said that he created the app as he saw a gap in the market for African technology consumers. We want to create an app by Africans for Africans and eventually get it to be used globally by Africans and everyone else. And I think this is very revolutionary. And I will say thank you so much, Hafiz, for making that platform, there for us. We highly appreciate it. We are very, very happy as Pan-Africanists to be a part of these inventions coming in, I think, every month now, which makes me very happy and makes me even more, makes me even more understanding that we can make it as a continent if we just use the creative mind that we have always had for thousands and thousands of years. So, that was that topic. Now moving over to another topic, which an interview is with Lorna Tori here on N1P Podcast, Open Basket Session 10 recap. And I just want to say hi, Lorna Tori. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I don't want to make you nervous or anything, but I want to start out by saying thank you for being here on Open Basket. And yeah, I just want to ask you a little bit, about what you think about this platform. Um, when you first heard about it, what was your thoughts on this platform?
Yeah, when I first heard about it, is the name that took my. I was like, what? Because
Mm,
like usually when you start a new company, if it's very similar to another company that already exists, you're not supposed to have a very similar name or a name close to it. So
mm,
it's
mm,
almost like it's really not that like WhatsApp, then South Africa. So it's a
mm,
bit very similar. But then I also thought like, okay, maybe it's not supposed to be like that. But then I also thought like, I think we as Black people, as Africans, we have to start to be ruthless in such a way, because
mm,
like that wouldn't be allowed because the name is very similar, but still it will make it easier for people to understand what it is. It's easier to market it because
mm,
with something that already exists. So I think we also need to be ruthless in that way, that
mm,
we've been stolen for so long. We shouldn't have any mercy when we're starting up new companies. Okay, maybe it might seem like, that's evil. Like, no, I think if we were to become evil at this point with everything that's been done to us, we
mm,
should be like monsters. So I
mm.
don't think being ruthless towards white supremacy
Yeah.
is anything bad. I know for
Mm,
an African, it's really hard for us to be ruthless, but
mm,
we have to. Whether it's like we name a new Facebook, I don't know, Facebook or whatever it is, like
mm,
adding a D, we have to be as ruthless as possible in music. It doesn't matter. We have to be completely ruthless to protect ourselves. I think we have to get into a defense mechanism mode in everything we do, whether it's business or whatever it is. There shouldn't be any more mercy.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay. And to also add on that, my original question was what you think about my platform or the platform that we have, our platform, Greatest Africa. What do you think about that? What was your thoughts when you first heard about our server, Greatest Africa?
Yeah. First, I knew like when I used to be in Africa, there was a man who started a radio called I don't know whether it was Great Africa or African Voice. It's certain type of radio, and he built it across all of Africa. He's called Kihurankuba. So I didn't know whether you guys were connected to him or you were him, but to me, honestly, that's what I thought. Because he's a Pan Africanist. He
Mm,
used to, I think he was the first person who used to go in villages teaching people about white supremacy. He's the first person who I learned from about white supremacy, like changed my mind. Because in those days, we used to worship whiteness, like everything that's white was good, like that's what we're taught in schools and
mm,
in religion. Then he came telling us how bad everything was, how we were lied to, like debunking all the things. And he was the first person I had before, like when I was a child, and I didn't really understand what he was talking about.
mm,
But like now I understand it, and it just took a long time to really understand what he was talking about. But he was the guy who taught Africa people in my area anyway, or in East Africa generally. He's traveled everywhere to not
mm,
take vaccines. Like he's the one who you could say he was like a conspiracy theorist who birthed like a new thinking of Africa to think for themselves. And yeah, anyway, his radio is called, I think, Great Africa or Africa, something like that. And he's still running it and he's still there. So that's what I thought.
Okay, okay, perfect. No, I don't. I don't know the guy to be honest, at
Mhm.
all. And I think, as you said, you spoke about magnetism and stuff like that. I think that's one part of it. That's
Oh, you
our
want me to
minds.
for that?
Our minds are coming together in a way.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
if you want me to answer it in that way,
Yeah.
like we were on this YouTube with why it matters. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
you wrote a comment something like magnetism.
Hmm.
Yeah. So when you said it, I was like, he's so right. That's what it is. Because, like, I wasn't planning to be on that stream. I don't even remember, to be honest, how I came up to be on that stream. Like, all
Wow.
I remember is like I was already there listening and writing comments and stuff like that. So
Mm.
when you say the magnetism brought us here, I agreed because like the person who was saying talking Raven, is it Ray?
Yeah, and he has his own show. Yeah,
Yeah,
rapper.
like
Yeah.
he was really on some, I don't know what it is. Like
Mm.
he was really like talking from a different planet. Like
Mm.
he was so powerful while
Mm.
he was talking about. Like I really felt like yeah, it was magnetism. So and
Mm.
I'm really realizing like black people anywhere, even those who are I don't know swallowing or whatever it is, every
Yeah.
crazy thing we're doing, like we all have a desire to improve our lives.
Mm.
So it's like magnetism is just bringing us together, us as black people, to improve our situation worldwide. So it's on
Perfect.
every black person's mind, even if they are in club, even if they are on drugs, whatever they're in, they have that thought and desire to do it. So
Mm.
I think like the Black Lives Matter was
Yeah.
just an indication to show like really it is time for something new, and
Mm.
like our desires are really there. Like everyone, as big as it got, it was just about time. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it is my
Perfect. 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 So I just want to give you a little bit of an understanding of the reason why I started Greatest Africa, so that you and others in the video stream also understand the reason why I started Greatest Africa. Reason why I started Greatest Africa was through an actual petition that I put out. So the petition, if you guys want to, you have the petition in the description section, speaking about what we want for Africa. So I wrote down a petition to send to the AU leaders, which is the African Union leaders, for them to see, to understand what we actually are wanting for our future generations. So I was speaking about a lot of things in this petition, but most of it was to become more self-sustainable by helping out with good infrastructure, and all of these things we need money for it. So there's things I'm going to start doing, like funding and stuff like that, to get certain things going on the ground in Africa, buying land, etc. I've already prospected on certain lands in Africa to buy and to also, build infrastructure. So I want good infrastructure, proper roads for the rural villages. We want schools and proper institutions in every district, teaching Africans about their real history, with a new curriculum for the whole continent. A new curriculum, not a European centralized curriculum, not a Western curriculum. We want an African curriculum. We don't have that. That's why we need it right now, and that's why we, as a new generation, can actually form that new curriculum. We also have a problem with electricity. Electricity is a very vital thing for the infrastructure of Africa, where we can actually produce more. So the better reliance in electricity, the easier it is to create and to build new industries in Africa, and that's what we need as well. So we need to build industries, but everything has to be built in the rural village itself, because there's where the majority of the people in Africa lives. They don't live in the majority do not live in the big city. So that's one thing we need to make clear for everyone that is listening. Uh, we also want to build and construction of a healing village. So we want to build a village where people can actually heal from the inside out, physically, mentally, because we know that not only the physical body needs to be detoxed, is also the mental body that needs to be detoxed. In order for you to even help the physical body to be detoxed, you need to mentally detox yourself. We have housing constructions, health and medical facilities built by materials and fibers more resistant and more powerful than what we are using today, as concrete, etc., and more cost effectively by natural sources of abundant African plains. So we can use maybe hemp cement. So we can maybe build a factory doing hemp cement, agricultural, horticulture. We have reforestation, planting billions of new plants and trees to to mitigate deforestation. Also, solar and wind power stations. We want to build that as well. We want to build holistic doctoring alternatives and alternative medicine for the people, more cost efficient and more powerful, more potent to kill more of these diseases. Comes from other places actually. We have even plastic recycling factories. So the plastics that come into Africa and also are consumed in Africa needs to be recycled much better, in a more sufficient way, a more self-sustainable way. So we want that to happen. And in order for us to even make this happen, we need the funding. We need people to help me sign the petition and also be a part of this movement. Hence the reason why we started Greatest Africa. So now you have a more broader understanding of what we actually want for Africa. We want to reinstitutionalize our countries, reinstitutionalize all of these problematic issues that we have, so that we can actually form this new Africa that we want to see, the greatest Africa. So I want to also continue with the discussion that we had, Lonatori. It's an interview. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a brief of what Greatest Africa is and what we want for our future generations. So now you know a little bit more about Greatest Africa. What I want to ask you, if you're still there, I want to ask you, what is Africa for you in the context of history, and where are we heading in your own view? So, yeah, is that a hard question to ask or answer?
No, it's not hard to answer. It's just like there's so many different ways to answer it. But
Yeah.
today I will just answer it with depending on what just came into my mind. So
Yeah.
how I see Africa, I can relate to it in a way. It's like we have forgotten who we are, and I don't think this forgetting was. We didn't know about it before it came. It just seems like it had to happen. Otherwise, if it didn't have to happen, we could have died off completely. Because it seems like whatever this forgetting of ourselves had to serve a purpose. It seems like we are serving a life sentence in a prison, and we do not understand the reasons why we are serving this sentence or what happened, but definitely there's a mysterious answer to all these things that has happened to us, the way we've been treated. I mean, like, I just when I came to really understand how the world views African people is when I saw human zoos
Yeah.
in Europe, and there are still even videos from the 60s, not that long ago, from the 60s, people walking around looking at humans in zoos. So me, this whatever it is, it had to happen, and I think our ancestors were more disciplined to accept it and move on with it until its time was finished. So, like now, I know there are many people in the new age talking about awakening. All those people, I mean, it's all a lie because they already have everything they need. The only people who need to awaken are Africans, to
Mm.
awaken our own self value and who we are as a people. The
True,
rest
true,
are just lying to themselves.
true,
And
true, true.
the main awakening we have to really do is self love.
Mm.
And that's like the most important of all things. I think through self love, we will get to have to all the answers that we need. And since like our own degeneration and suffering is like an energy force for the rest of the world. So if we are not suffering, to me honestly, I think if black people are not suffering and starving, white people will not find a reason to exist on this planet. They will either commit suicide or something, because there's no way they can exist in that form without being superior or anything. So there's no way they can exist on the same planet where black people are not suffering. So I think our own awakening is a fear for the rest of the world, because then there is no reason for for them to exist. The only reason to exist is to have this facade of greatness that is not really there. So if the lowest people are no longer the lowest, then who is the lowest? Like there's no great, like greatness is flipped and there's no reason for them to exist. So it's like our suffering has given the entire planet a reason for existence. Without it, there is war and destruction as they are doing now, because they no longer see us as animals in zoos, and
Mm.
they have to see us as human beings. But
Mm.
like there's nowhere for them to get self-worth, to feel like they are better. So yeah, so to me, our own resurrection, I could say it, is our awakening and coming to a new understanding. But I think as we come into a new understanding, as you were talking about the reason you started Great Africa, I think we as Africans, if we want to have a developed world, we have to do everything we are to build through respecting nature.
Mm.
Otherwise, we won't get anywhere. We
Mm.
have to find a way to reconnect with nature, because we are the most natural as you can get
Mm.
to any, I don't know, among other human beings.
Mm.
So we have, if we don't respect nature, there's no way we're going to develop. And also I came to realize like our natural lives, our village lives, we look down upon them. But really when you look closely, there's really nothing wrong with
Mm.
living in a hut.
Mm. No,
And
most definitely not. There's actually more attributes that are better for humans to actually live in these type of settings, because you have natural, it's natural, is you using natural substances to build these houses, which means you won't get, fumes from the paint, or you won't get,
yeah,
problems, with the mold and stuff like that. We don't have those problems in those huts because they are made out of, clay and mud,
yeah,
which is more resistant than concrete at the end of
yeah,
the day. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And there's so many new technologies to build better houses. I don't know if you know about 3D printed houses.
yeah. I know about it. Yes, I do.
Yeah. So it's like there's so many ways to build things now without
Mm,
destroying nature. And if we destroy nature to build our lives, we will be doing exactly as white supremacy has done. We
yeah.
don't know how far they've gone, but we see all, even other planets are completely destroyed.
Mm,
So we have like the mandate to rebuild an entire new universe, literally,
mm.
in the
Perfect.
near future. Yeah. So to me, what was I going to? Oh, I
Yes, the
usually use
history
that.
where we're heading.
Yeah. So that's where we are heading, and that's how we have to construct everything. I really had a really good point, but I lost my thought of
Okay,
that. I'll continue so it can come up. It was really important.
perfect. Yeah, we have around let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, around six more questions, and then
Yeah.
yeah, we have had yeah, so in total we had around seven questions. So now we're going over to the next question.
Mm.
Um, where do you see Africa in 10 years? 10 years time from now, from
Yeah,
today.
I think, yeah, now I remember what I was about to say, but it's good like you ask these questions because this question because it's really connected to it. I think we who have a vision for Africa, instead of like we are discussing what we want, like you are talking about greater Africa, you're talking about
Mm,
you want new roads and new this, and Raven was talking about black improvement. I
empowerment.
think we need to start to build computer, like the metaverse. We need to
Mm,
start to build this vision we have in our minds
mm,
into like 3D or animation. We need to put it in animation so
mm,
whatever is in our mind, other people can start to envision it. So like
mm,
if we talk about we will need to build new roads, we have to do a complete 3D, animated model of an Africa we want, even if it's not here today. We build it like here in by next year this animation is finished, so like the idea drops into people's mind, even
mm,
if it seems impossible, even if the technology seems completely like out of a fantasy movie. But I
mm,
think that's what we need to do because we've been talking a lot about building Africa, and like to me I think we need to start to make that vision live for other people who don't have the imagination.
mm.
Yeah. So I think,
Correct, correct.
and since we as African people, we work on different ways of doing. For example, I was thinking of buying a planner to plan how I'm going to do my day and stuff like that. But I recently discovered a different way of planning. Like I literally meditate in the morning and my day goes so smoothly. It's
Mm.
like it's like like a different way of planning. So we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to start to think about new ways of thinking.
Mm.
Yeah. So like in order to have this vision come to pass, we need to put it into people's minds so that they can also see what we are seeing. Those who don't have hope, if they start to see like animated videos of a new Africa,
Mm.
even like we could do like this movie Avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first 3D movie,
Mm.
like where they live this fantasy world completely connected to nature. We have to start to fantasizing things out of this planet because I don't see an Africa where it looks just like a copy of Europe with
Mm.
streets on this side and kebab and McDonald's.
No, no,
Yeah,
no. Yeah.
that's not
You're right.
developed.
You're right. You're 100% correct.
Yeah,
100%.
we cannot, this cannot be a vision of what development is, of people packed on a train. I mean, imagine 100 people in one space every
Mm.
day, every morning, and that's like the highest. I don't know, white men walk around think like, oh, look at what we built, blah
Yeah,
blah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We need to envision something much greater out of this planet, completely in one with nature,
Mm.
stress free, without bills. But to envision that, we have to put it in animation, in 3D models, so
Yeah.
that other people can see it. So that if someone sees it, they add in, like maybe another metaverse of a fantasy of what we want to see Africa as. So
Mm.
like as I was saying, like the way of planning, instead of writing down our plans, like you meditate on it. So our African way of building things is through imagination. So if that image is dropped into everyone's mind and they see, wow, that could be an Africa, even the Africans without imagination, that image becomes their vision. It gives them hope.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So like
Yeah, most definitely. And I'm on my way to do that. I want to do a 3D movie speaking about what I want for Africa in my petition. Um, I think that will be one of the best things that I can do to get to get my message out, and not only
yeah,
that, but also get people to understand the purpose of the funding
yeah.
for Greatest Africa. Yeah, most definitely, it's one of the best propaganda machines that you can use is media and animation as well. Most definitely.
Yeah. So, because like we as Africans, when we think of development, we just think of a photocopy of a London built.
Mm. Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's just
Exactly.
what I hear everyone talk about. We need better roads, but the better roads they're thinking of something, even if it's amazing, even if it's somewhere in Dubai or
Yeah.
France, it's not the best. We have to start to really realize that this European way of thinking, the road structures,
Mm.
like me, when I travel like in Europe, in France, whether it's in Scandinavia, it really looks the same.
Mm.
It's the same thing. It's like block here, block there. It's the same thinking. So we have to think of something completely different. You know, like Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
like where these little guys live in, like, I don't know, strange houses.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I
And then we
know what
travel
you
to a
mean.
different
Yeah,
place.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So we have to think something out of this world that's
We can,
possible in Africa.
we can,
We,
we can.
we could
But the
just
thing is, why the reason why I say roads, proper roads, is
mm,
because one of those things that is very vital for any country that wants to, develop in a way that,
mm,
develop their export import uh, businesses,
mm,
need to have a proper road work and also proper drainage system, because
mm,
we know in Africa there's a lot of floods. Like
mm,
people suffer of floods, and they suffer from these things. So that's why we need a better drainage system to drain the
mm,
water and to
mm,
keep the water into the ground, build more earth structures to keep water in the soil so that we can actually utilize the water correctly by planting more trees and herbs and vegetables and all these things, and also make people more self-sufficient. But we
mm,
need to have proper roads, because when you drive in a village,
mm,
uh, you know it's quite bumpy,
mm.
and it's not good for the vehicles. So if you're gonna drive, it's not the best option to drive with just a normal vehicle. You have to use a 4x4, and
Yeah.
not every African have a 4x4, and
Mm.
not all Africans can afford a 4x4.
Yeah,
So,
but that's the thing we have to, because like right now in these countries, they are thinking of leaving the 4x4, the cars to flying. Uh,
mm, mm, mm,
so
mm, mm.
if it seems so far-fetched for Africa, they cannot be leaving cars and stuff like that because it's bad for nature. And we are planning to build all those roads that they are trying to get rid of here. So I
Mm.
think we have to go beyond.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. You're on the right track there. Maybe we
Yeah.
can use, aerospace as a mean of traffic. Yeah, like using, um, these what you call drones to
Yeah.
drive and deliver things by air. And I think
Yeah.
it's a good idea. It's a good idea. I think it's
Yeah.
a very good idea. But we need the infrastructure for that. So we need to
Mhm.
have a proper infrastructure, like techno structure. We need to have a
Yeah.
good technological infrastructure
Yeah.
for all of these things if it's going to be aerospace. I've had myself sitting down sometimes, and I've also done my own little design of a little um, hovercraft that takes you from place to place. I've done my own design, actually,
Mhm.
writing it myself. So
Mhm.
yeah, I've had those thoughts myself, and I think
Mhm.
it's a good idea. Like you said, instead of wanting to expand in a way that Europe and West is doing, we can instead use aerospace as a mean of traffic, infrastructure, and export import. So
Mhm.
we can drive drones from the village all the way towards the ports where we have the boats that takes
Mhm.
the shipment to wherever it's going. So yeah, but we need proper infrastructure for this. But it's a good idea, and I think those things are things that we can do and we can manage to do with
Mhm.
new strategies.
Yeah,
Let me
I
jump.
think.
Let me just jump over to the next question because we still have plenty of questions, and then afterwards we can summarize, speak, because the time is gonna fly. So it's already,
Yeah,
yeah, so
40 minutes have gone. Yeah.
gone already. So better we just run through the questions and then afterwards we speak out
Mhm.
about the things that we're speaking about today.
Mhm.
So, what
Mhm.
is Pan Africanism for you? Is it a new concept, or is it a concept that you've listened to before? Is it something you're familiar with? What is Pan Africanism for you as an
For
individual?
me, I've heard about Pan Africanism, but
Mm,
obviously I didn't understand it. I think in order to understand Pan Africanism, you have to understand white supremacy. Because literally, to me, it's the same thing. Is Pan Africanism is like the resistance against white supremacy. So to me, it's the same thing, but from like a self, you could say Pan Africanism is self defense against white supremacy. That's how I could define it. Yeah.
in a way, yeah, in a way it is.
Mhm.
As you have Discord now, you're in our Discord server, Great Africa. You have now the opportunity to go into these different channels. One of those channels are Pan African channel. It's a channel in the server that I have, Great Africa, where we speak only about Pan Africanism, and there you will get more in-depth analyze and better education on that topic, Pan Africanism. And you will understand the reason why Pan Africanism exists and what the purpose of Pan Africanism is. That's
Mhm.
a section for you to go into. If you want to go into the Discord server, and also the guys watching, go into the Discord server, Greatest Africa. There's going to be on the description box down under the video. Go in, become a part of the struggle, become a part of Greatest Africa. Now let me just continue with the questions that I have. Question 4 is, what is it that made you see things differently in Scandinavia or in Sweden when it came to race and life overall? So
Mhm.
yeah. So what yeah. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, because when you're in Africa or born in Africa, you're
Mm,
told like the Western world is
mm,
heaven. You're told like all white people are like superior, they are very intelligent, very smart. But when I reached here, I saw a different thing, and it was not intelligence. It was a mystery to me, and I was very curious to find out what this thing is, because it was not what I was told. It was not that it was stupid
mm,
or intelligent. It was just something strange, and I couldn't understand. It was like everyone was chasing after something, and I
mm,
couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand the motivation. Because in Africa, if you're rich, you're really rich. You have people who work for you. You take your time to you're rich with time. You don't have stress. But
mm,
here, everyone was running around, and no, really like big houses, like no one really has like a big house, like what you could consider a big house in Africa.
mm.
And it's like the big house they consider big is just regular houses in Africa in size.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like I couldn't understand this motivation, why everyone was so stressed and they have everything they have. No one was happy, no one was laughing, no one was enjoying life. There was no party, there's no music. You don't hear anyone laugh when you're crossing the street.
Mm,
And this is not one day, this is all year round. So I was just wondering, what is the motivation? Like, what, it just seems so pointless to me, to like, I just couldn't understand it.
mm,
So, and the closer I got to the people, the more I got more curious to really understand the way of thinking, because it was completely different from what I was used to. It was completely dead and lifeless.
mm,
So, and when you get into education, into workplaces, that's when you see where the system really works. It's
mm,
like there's no uh, correct answer. The correct answer doesn't matter. It's about who is saying whatever they are saying. If it's a non-white person, that answer, even if it's life-saving, even if it cures AIDS, it doesn't matter. The answer is shut down, is put down, it doesn't really matter. So to me, that way of thinking, like I lost respect immediately, because I couldn't understand also this idea that someone's skin color could determine, like could make up their whole personality. You could determine that this person is stupid because they have this kind of skin color. To me, that was like the most mentally ill idea or way of thinking I've ever seen. And I lost respect completely for all white people, even if I saw them on TV. Like to me, I couldn't believe someone could be that stupid to think a skin color can determine whether you're stupid or not, and
mm,
can determine all this nonsense. So I would really like started to study, and I don't know, I just lost admiration and respect of the whole thing. And I
mm,
had to search for answers outside of this sham, this facade of existence. So yeah.
100%, and I'm with you on that. I've experienced it myself as a young child, actually. So it started already very young, being separated from the flock as as a child. I was only in second grade, and I got separated from my friends, and because I was different. I was thinking different, being different. By second grade, it's like, how old are you? 8 years, not even 8 years. And I got separated from the flock. So, yes, I know exactly how you feel. And I felt that ever since I was 8 years old. So, yes, I know exactly how you feel, most definitely. And it's a big, 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 big issue. And we need to actually, take this issue at hand and actually start changing things, because these people won't change things for us, so we need to change it for ourselves. We need to take things into action, into matter ourselves. We can't change others. We have to change ourselves for others to change. So when we change, I think people will change. When we change our tactics, people will understand and then change themselves and adjust to the new African. You understand? And that's why I need us to have this greatest Africa as a caliber, to make us, stronger as individuals. Because the more knowledge you have, the stronger you're intellectually. Whenever you encounter any stupidity, any ignorance, you can mash that ignorance down by just saying a couple of words, and that's finished. Yeah, that's why I want. That's the impact I want to for us to have as an African. Level us up in a way that when we encounter any situation, we will come out as successes, as we always have as Africans. And in our history, it already is there in black and white, and it's written in stone. So we don't need anyone to tell us how great we are. We already know how great we are. At least if you know who you are, that's why we are here. And I think it's very good for you to be here as well to discuss this with me. Let me just go over to the next question here, which is the fifth question. What would you like to see for our future generation growing up in the diaspora?
Yeah, what I would like to see is an understanding of the world we live in.
Mm,
Like in this world, for every white person, I think anyone, whether they are Chinese or
mm,
Arab or white, except black, everyone else understands that we live in a system of white supremacy, and everyone maintains that.
mm,
Whether they are Chinese, they are told to be different towards a black person.
mm,
Whether they are Arab, every child is taught all these things about black
mm,
people,
yeah,
and it's only black people who are taught to love everyone. So I
mm,
think in order to do whatever we have to do is to understand the world we live in, to be aware of white supremacy. Because if we do not understand that, is we don't know anything really. It doesn't matter how many degrees we have or PhDs, it doesn't matter. Because here the qualification is how well you know white supremacy. Because whether you're stupid or you don't know the answers, as long as you understand white supremacy and maintain it really well, that's what moves you up into your work, into your qualifications and those things. It might not seem that way, but if you really understand the game, they call it the game, but that's what the game really is. If you understand that you're white and you know your position in society, and maybe you have family members who are already in good positions, if you just maintain that, the way of talking, acting, distance yourself from black people, and generally do manipulate things and stuff like that's all you really need to know. All
mm,
these degrees they offer in the western world is so pointless. The main degree you need, the PhD you need, is to understand your position as a white person and what your whiteness means, and your level of understanding that, that's how high you can go. Even in politics, like you might not even notice it yourself, but that's really what drives all the intelligence of the western world. And as an African, if you understand white supremacy, you actually become better. You, it's like you're flying on top of all of western world, because then you already know what they're going to say. It might sound impossible, but you already know what they're going to say, why they're saying it. You don't need to ask or doubt or anything. Everything becomes much easier. So if we as Africans, if the African youth do not understand the world we live in and how the world looks at them and what the world wishes for them, and how like their suffering is a life force for the rest of the world, we are not going to move anywhere. So it doesn't matter how intelligent we get, whether or how our systems we build, we will always be in shock, like, oh my God, I can't believe they've bombed us. Oh my
mm.
God, we never understand it. So I think, yeah,
Perfect.
that's
That's a
yeah.
good answer. Good answer. And going on to the sixth question here, do you see yourself being a part of the great change here on Great Africa? Do you see yourself part of this?
To me, the greatest change, whether I'm
Mm,
on Greatest Africa or not, the
mm,
greatest change is me as an individual of what I have to do for myself
mm.
to move
Perfect,
forward.
perfect.
Yeah.
You're going to the last question here. What is your speciality and what would you be contributing with in our community and also for Africa itself in the diaspora?
Yeah, well, really, my position is design, and that's what I'm good at, and you can do that in many different ways.
Mm.
So that's what I'll be contributing in many different ways. I want to do different things, but it all depends. Like
Okay.
opportunities come slow and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
that's
that's
good. That's good. That's good. We need to have a strong creative mind. So yes, perfect. That's actually what I was thinking, that you were. So yeah, it makes things much easier when it comes to dealing with, for example, creativity, things that we want to do creatively, things that we want to do for Great Africa. We will need your expertise in certain things, in certain fields. And I will ask you if it's okay to just, if you can help me in certain issues. I would love for you to help me in those issues as well, in that section of our struggle. I want to also say thank you so much for being here and being a part of this interview, Lomatori. And if you want to, you can just yeah, you can finish off with your thoughts on the interview, and your thoughts on, yeah, your thoughts.
On the interview, honestly, I don't know. I'm Yeah, I'm trying to hold on not to answer personal questions because I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah, yeah.
been
Most
interviewed
definitely, most
for,
definitely.
yeah.
But I was thinking overall, when you came into the server, you saw the things that you saw there, the information, the Friday sessions that we've had. Last
Yeah,
time we were here, I think it was yesterday you were here. What do you think about that session? What do you think about that? Do you think
yeah.
it's important?
Yeah, I think it's very important to have constructive conversations. I think nowadays, like, I don't know, maybe it's because it's what I'm searching for, or whether
Mm,
it's like that, but I see a lot more Black people having conversations. Like, we
mm,
sit down and talk about issues, whether we are
mm,
talking down on ourselves, or but still we sit down and talk about things. And I
mm,
think this is really a great thing, because we as Black people, we never really talk about things, because in most African families, like, we don't open up a lot, because I think
mm,
because we don't know really how much was taken from us to reach at this low level we are on, like our
mm,
great grandparents, what made them to be so quiet and secretive and zero conversation, or maybe
mm,
they never used to need deep conversations before the great fall and all these things. But
mm,
I think it's good to have conversations to talk about this thing. It's just like, we think like building things, like moving forward, is going to be about building cities and all those things. But I think for Africans, we need other things. We don't really, we might think like we need New York, but really, I don't think that's what we need. And
mm,
we will have to, as we continue having conversations, we will
mm,
have to start to think outside the box, and think of a completely different world that we want or need. Because
mm,
me, honestly, even when I look at it in general, Black people, we don't even, it's like we don't need, we don't chase after money really. We chase
mm,
after, like, if we buy things like chains and stuff like that, we buy it for other reasons. We don't have that fear, because what I've learned here in Europe, people, even if they have all the money they have, they don't sleep. They're
mm,
constantly worried about things that don't even exist. They create fantasies of problems in their minds, and that's one of the driving forces of racism. It's like a fantasy world of problems, and we Black people, we don't really have that. So we will have to continue talking, and in a way of talking and sharing thoughts, we develop in that way. So yeah,
mm.
that's
Perfect.
very good.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much for the positive feedback that you gave me, and I think I will take this with me, of course, into the future. And the aspects that you also gave is things that I will take with me in the future. I'm very happy for you to come over and have the interview with me today. I am born in the same soil that you are in right now, so we can connect in many different ways. Very good that we had this discussion today, and I think also that you can contribute a lot of your own interest into the podcast and also into our Discord server. I'm very happy for you to be here today and everyone else that are joining us on this podcast that we have today, the recap of yesterday's podcast, but also a little bit of an interview with African diaspora. I think I will do this every second weekend with other guests, speaking about and asking a little bit more about what they think, what they feel, and what they want to contribute for these new, diasporas that are coming up here in the West and elsewhere. Also, want to give people the time to please go into our Discord server, Greatest Africa. Also, like and subscribe to these videos that I put up for Greatest Africa. It's for educational purposes, and it's also for African betterment in a way. So, if you guys want to be a part of that great change, please go in, subscribe, like the video, and also be a part of the movement that I'm growing day by day. We are around 100 people in the server, Greatest Africa, and we're growing every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, or every month. And I'm looking forward for more people to get involved. The more people that gets involved in these discussions and these interviews and the general education makes things easier for us and also makes us more prepared in the tasks that are at hand in future time. I also want to end with a quote, an African quote. It says, "If you think education is expensive, try ignorance, because ignorance is more expensive." That's all I want to say. I want to end there. I want to say thank you, Lonatori, for being here in this show today. And I want to thank everyone else that are a part of this movement. And thank you so much. And open baskets, closed baskets. Episode 10 recap. See you next time. Next Friday. All power to the people. Peace and blessings.